Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Ninjas Are Butterflies. We're going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff today. We have a special guest, Mr. Dr. Larry is in the house. Go ahead.
No, you keep on.
Oh, today we're going to be talking about data centers. Who's built them? Why are they built them? And why are they ruining the earth?
And guess what? Is the earth flat? Well, Larry sure thinks so. And we're about to discuss it, and it's going to really weird you out.
He convinced me.
And we're revisiting the conversation about aliens, the Watchers, and all that weird stuff that's coming out in the news. You're going to want to tap in.
All right. Now you say, this podcast is brought to you and powered by Sunday Cool. Watch this or listen.
Brought to you
And powered
by
Sunday Cool.
This podcast is brought to you and powered by Sunday Cool.
Watch this or listen.
Watch this or listen.
Larry.
Hold on, wait, that was a take. That was just a
No, that's it. That's it. That's what we're using. That was perfect.
Oh, okay.
$140 calories.
Not worth it.
This is like kind of the only coffee though that doesn't make me like Starbucks coffee that doesn't make me absolutely blow my pants off.
Yeah. Well, I was Larry has changed the way I think about hosting people and having them over for dinner because he made a roast the other night, and all he did was take this massive cutting board and just start slicing with it with a beautiful knife, and then he just put it on the table, sprinkled salt.
That's
and
a classic.
It felt so real and good, and then they had cheese and everything with it. It was just like
that's what a real host does.
Yeah, just like eat your food, and then so we can talk. There was like I always worry about everything like that. It's like it was awesome. It was perfect. Very familiar.
Your wife is Italian?
She is, yes.
And you are not?
I'm from Florida,
Okay.
from Sarasota, Florida. My wife's born in Italy, and our kids are born in Italy, except for the youngest one.
No way.
He was born in our cow pasture.
That's epic.
Yeah, in a camper. And then my...
He was born in the camper?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, no, it was on purpose.
Wow.
We had a midwife and everything, and...
Yeah, because they got some land and they had to live on a camper. And she was talking about how hot it was during the summer, just having kids in a camper, and it's like that's tough.
Giving birth in a camper.
Being pregnant in a camper.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Another thing.
That's crazy.
Man, good on you, Larry.
But my father's Italian and Hungarian. My mother's Filipino.
Wow.
And I learned you're Filipino. And I used to work at Chick-fil-A.
Dude.
Wow.
And you're into music?
Yeah, I'm a pianist.
Dang, I should have set him up the little MIDI keyboard.
He's good.
Man.
He's good. Yeah, we played. I think
I heard the little song you guys did last couple days ago.
Yeah, so you know how talented we are.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what's dropped. I'm so thrown off by our scheduling and where everything is right now. But thank you for the compliment.
Well, guys, Larry's here.
Larry's here, Dr. Larry.
Dr. Larry.
He does have his doctorate, so everyone calls him Dr. Larry. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Andy has talked about multiple stories from you. One of my favorites was the Watchers meteorite crater theory.
Yes, for those of you,
fun.
Yeah, for those of you listening to the show, when we talked about this is the Larry I was talking about. Larry, he's a teacher at my girls' homeschool co-op, and that's how we met. We met at a daddy-daughter dance, and then like within 5 minutes of the conversation, we're talking about like full-on Genesis conspiracies, and I'm like, this is great. This is great stuff for the pod. So
excited to have you.
It's gonna be great.
We're gonna get into it,
I'm excited.
and we want you to just let loose.
Sure.
And just give us all your kookiness because we love kookiness.
Yeah, we went over the YouTube trigger words
as
as well. So
I was told that
it doesn't really matter.
it doesn't matter.
Really?
There's no way that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
No way.
There's got to be a way.
Well, because
I don't know.
he's like, well, what about Tim Dillon?
Yeah, honestly.
Tim Dillon says every trigger word about 1,000 times in his episodes, but he's
Within the first 5 minutes.
But if the trigger words don't like hurt our reach, then I have to accept.
I take it back. There are some trigger words. There are some trigger words.
Like what?
Like what? For
Like-
example, don't.
So we're just not a good podcast.
Probably. What?
It's a hard pill to swallow.
No, people are just like,
You post at 6 a.m., you idiot.
Speaking of that, you guys are probably aware these past couple of weeks we've been posting at 11:15 Eastern Standard Time because we're trying to figure out this YouTube thing. So Thanks for
Understanding. Hopefully.
And
be mad.
also go comment on this video right now because every week we're choosing someone that comments and we're sending them a bunch of ninja swag, right, Larry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hats, shirts. You never know what you're going to get. So comment below.
I do this thing sometimes with guests where because I don't know you, I tend to talk this way, so I'm trying to include you as much as possible.
I shifted my chair his way a little bit because I do the same thing.
I'm naturally a very awkward person, and I don't like talking to new people. I just like staying in my own little shell.
And that's okay.
So I'm breaking out, Larry. And I'm addressing you by Larry,
Yeah.
which I learned from Love on the Spectrum.
You say his name throughout.
Yeah, because I feel like it's such a what do you call it? Polite.
Yeah. It's intentional. By the end of this episode, you're going to be sitting next to Larry on this. We're sharing the same mic.
Is that all right, Larry?
Yeah. This thing's got some wiggle room.
All right, cool.
We could do it.
Speaking of Larry, do you want a song?
Do I want?
Do you want us to play you a song?
Yeah.
Would you like that?
Let's hear it.
Do you have a genre in mind?
How about like 20s kind of? What is that? What do they call that?
Hello, my eye. Hello. No. 20s?
Yeah, like
1920s or 2020s?
Like late 20s, 1920s.
Okay.
Yeah,
like COVID era.
Yeah.
Is that a trigger word?
Go ahead. Just get him out of the way.
All right, we'll come up with something.
Here we go. We're in Florida, far from the cold. Feeling good as gold. Got my friends right here beside me. It's a perfect day, don't you agree?
But Lily isn't here, she's gone. No time to cry, no time to yawn. Lights are on, we're ready to go. Cause it's time to start the show.
I think that it's time to introduce our guest. Because he is the best. His name is Larry, our special guest today. His name is Larry, we asked and he said okay. His name is Larry, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. His name is Larry, was in prison for 15 years. Was in prison for 15 years. He was in prison for 15 years. We just guessed on those last two facts. Nobel Peace Prize. You had to go back out. Where did you get that?
I just got on Amazon. I thought
The
it'd be
slide whistle was not what I was expecting. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
We got to do that after every dark conspiracy.
Yeah.
Or every time Lily's scared. Does this make it? Look how silly I am.
Hey, it's okay. We're all right.
World's on fire.
Oh, man.
Did you like your song?
I'm flattered, guys. I've never been serenaded by two guys on a podcast before.
Well, I'm sorry for that.
Was it armed robbery?
Armed robbery?
The 15 years?
Yeah, 15 years. No.
Oh.
No, go on.
What happened?
Yeah. Why are you a convict?
Just kidding. He did not go to prison.
No, he
15
didn't,
years.
guys. But I'm pretty sure he did win the Nobel Peace Prize. You went to
Very
school for
cool.
engineering, right?
I did, yes.
What
Yeah.
kind?
Aerospace.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just in, Larry's gone missing. No!
For some reason, though, I ended up taking a different path into music. But I always question where I'd be today if I stayed down that path and studied in depth, what they're studying today.
Probably
Yeah.
missing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
Yeah, maybe it was a bullet dodged.
Yeah.
I don't think
Seriously.
it's that weird. Music is math. It's all numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of math, I need everyone to be quiet.
All right.
Why? What's up?
Larry, I hate to put you in the hot seat, but you are literally in the hot seat. I don't know if you see that sticker behind you that says hot seat. Yeah.
In Japanese, I think.
Oh, here.
Every week we do a question from a viewer, and we don't like doing them. We really don't, Larry.
It's like pulling teeth.
It's like pulling teeth, pulling hair. Ugh, we hate it, but we have to do it out of respect for our billions of viewers.
Yep.
And they just want us to ask these hard questions, and unfortunately, the person sitting in the hot seat is typically the person that has to answer it.
What's the rules?
We don't make the rules. We never have.
We wish we did.
We wish we did. So, Larry, today's question is sent in by a viewer. Are cover-ups okay?
Yes or no?
Oh yeah, it is a yes or no. You can't elaborate. Again, we don't make the rules.
We don't make the rules.
Are cover-ups okay, Larry?
No.
Oh.
Dang. Dude,
Larry.
what?
I trusted you, man. I thought we were going to come in here. We're going to have fun.
Andy, this is your buddy.
I'm sorry, guys. I promise you he doesn't mean it, viewers.
I hope not.
I hope not, because what he's really saying.
What you're really saying, Larry, is like when someone comes and just pantses someone, and you're saying it's not okay for them to cover that up. It's not okay for them to quickly hide their shame, hide their embarrassment, and pull up them britches.
They've been exposed.
Larry's like, let them be embarrassed.
I think it's a great law that we are legally obligated to cover up in our daily lives.
The government should enforce cover ups.
Yeah, absolutely.
To save the shame of many of men.
Where do we draw the line? And women.
So, I don't know if you want to rebuttal that, Larry.
I stand firm.
Okay.
on that one.
He's doubling down, dude.
All right, guys. Well, I guess you're here first. Men, women. I guess you're just gonna have to live in a world where you're just embarrassed,
exposed, sad.
Welcome to the show.
Did I say ninja? I meant butterfly. The butterfly is no doubt one of God's most beautiful creations. I said empty your mind. You learn martial arts. Ninjas attack!
Every dad has that drawer.
The one full of random chargers that somehow never fit anymore.
Exactly. 5 cords tangled together like a fishing net.
Meanwhile, your phone's dying, your watch is dead, and somebody's asking, hey, does anybody have a charger?
And that's why the Ridge power bank is actually genius.
Yes, Ridge made a 5-in-1 travel power bank with built-in cables, y'all, so you can charge basically everything with one device, no extra cords.
Phone, watch, headphones, all of it.
MagSafe, wireless charging, Apple Watch charging, Lightning, USB-C, everything built in.
And it's powerful too.
20 watts of power and a 10,000 mAh battery, so you can get up to 3 full phone charges.
Which is huge for travel.
And with Father's Day coming up, this is one of those gifts Dad will actually use, like I do, every single day.
Plus, it looks good.
Yeah, it doesn't look like some cheap airport charger. Ridge gear always feels solid and built to last, baby.
Which makes sense. Ridge was literally built by a father and a son.
And like everything they make, this thing comes with free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty.
One thing to pack, 5 ways to power. For a limited time, get up to 40% off during Ridge's huge Father's Day sale at ridge.com/ninjas.
Don't miss one of their biggest discounts of the year, folks. Just head to ridge.com/ninjas and you're all set.
After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Tell them we sent you. Pretty please.
Please. We
Please.
love you. Thank you, Ridge.
Can we all agree that dads are impossible to shop for?
Absolutely. Every year, it's the same thing. What do you want, Dad? Nothing. Thanks a lot for the help, Dad.
That's why I actually like this one. Brunt Workwear has Father's Day deals right now, and it's something he'll actually use.
Especially if your dad works with his hands. These boots are legit.
The wildest part is it's a risk-free trial.
Yeah, they actually let you wear the boots to work. Real job site days, not just walking around your living room and pretending to be productive.
And if they're not the right fit,
send them back for a full refund. That's how confident they are.
when I got mine, I expected the usual break-in period. Wah, wah.
Same. Most work boots feel like they're trying to win a fight against your feet for the first 2 weeks.
Not these.
Comfortable right out of the box. That's the thing that surprised me the most, Josh.
And they're built for actual work.
Waterproof, safety toe, soft toe, pull on, lace up, whatever you need. Brunt built these for blue collar workers, not fashion models.
That's actually how the company started, Andy.
Founder Eric Girard grew up blue collar and built Brunt after hearing from workers that these big brands stopped listening. Every boot is named after real tradesmen he grew up with.
Comfort and durability.
What did I say?
Finally, both in the same boot.
Brent was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up.
So they built something better. Boots that are simply comfortable and built for any job site.
For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code NINJAS at checkout.
Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code NINJAS and you're good to go.
And after you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them that it was from this show.
Ninjas are butterflies.
Ninjas are butterflies. Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, Brett. We did it.
Coming from an Asian, that's a hot take.
Wow.
I'm Asian too.
Are you?
Russian.
True. We gotta do the blood test.
We have. I've been saying it for.
Let's do it for the 200.
I will.
I
have a blood test that I haven't done because after I bought it, all the conspiracy stuff came out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to do it, but then the government will have your DNA.
They already have it though.
That's true.
They already got it.
It's true.
They've got our DNA.
Yeah.
They've got our faces.
Yeah. I mean,
You know what?
if I'm doing blood work,
Yeah.
and I get my results on an app,
Mhm.
it's in the system,
100%.
right?
There's only one way to find out. Commit a crime where your blood is left at the scene where they have to run it. And if it comes back to you, they've got it in the system. If not, good news. You're still going to prison,
True.
but you'll know that your DNA was safe.
True.
Hey, you can win some, you can lose some.
Speaking of blood leading you to the scene of the crime,
Yes.
do you see that post our good old president posted with the alien in shackles?
No.
So that really happened. That really got posted.
That was really him that posted
I haven't
it.
seen
Was
the
there
photo.
any context behind it at all, or did he just pop the image out there?
They just popped it up there.
Of course.
Did you start a text group with
Oh,
us?
geez, my bad. That was the one thing I was supposed to. I'll do it right now.
It's crazy. And then of course we had L.A. Marzulli. Amazing take on it. Amazing take on it. I love L.A. Marzulli and his take on it.
I'm gonna start finishing like everything I post, all my hunting videos.
So good.
All right, just started the group chat.
All right, check this out. So he just I think he posted this like the day after the initial disclosure happened. And it's crazy. Did it come through yet?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Just this alien in shackles.
What is that? He just posted that?
Yeah, a couple days ago or weeks ago or something.
What is supposed to be the message here?
I don't know. I really think he just does it to
be funny.
To troll?
troll and be funny.
And he's enough of a narcissist where the only person that needs to chuckle is himself.
Hey, that's my president.
Hey.
Through my lens, that looks like a test to me. Could be real. Obviously, could easily be AI. But the
Like to
question
test
is,
the
how is everybody going to
reaction?
react if he were to post that? And we live in a strange world where you're not 100% sure that this is just what do you call it?
AI.
AI or what we call like a joke, basically.
Like a psyop kind of thing.
Not 100% sure. Exactly.
Yeah, that's weird.
That
It's
would be
funny
interesting.
though, because there's going to be people that don't know that's AI, or
Yeah.
they just completely take that as fact.
If my grandma saw that, she would be like,
You're not going to believe what Trump did today.
I mean, go back and
Did you
watch.
see?
Go back and watch Signs. I remember that dropping and being like, "Oh my gosh!" And now it's like we pretty much make that clip every day. Making
Yeah.
a podcast. So
Do you believe in aliens, Larry?
Well, it's funny you ask that way. I remember when I was in elementary school, and I was raised in a household where you needed to excel in school,
Yeah.
and be smart or
Mhm.
whatever. I was in gifted classes in elementary school and high school. I never really knew that there was such thing as a gifted class. I was just always in that class as my group of friends and whatever.
Yep.
But I remember a religious Christian girl saying, "Oh no, I don't believe in aliens." And I just remembered in my head, or I might have said it to her. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so stupid that you don't believe in
Yeah.
aliens. The universe is endless. There's endless possibilities." But now, as I started using my brain, not just accepting what I heard or what I was told, to answer your question, the connotation aliens implies to me, for my understanding, the word aliens implies that life started somewhere in the universe by chance, and aliens are these evolved beings from a single cell organism or whatever they want to, however they want to create this this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Where what I'm saying is I don't believe in aliens in the sense of that life forms can evolve by chance. As a matter of fact, I know it's not even a mathematical possibility. So I believe that they are fallen angels.
Yeah.
And they've always been that. And it wasn't until recent times after the theory of evolution was proposed, probably sometime in the 1800s, that they just changed the word from demons or fallen angels or whatever you want to call them, and then they called them aliens.
Well, didn't that even happen with like Aleister Crowley, like where he said that all aliens are actually demons or fallen angels or something like that? Aleister Crowley said that.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. So
And that dude was into that stuff.
Yeah. Like, so what, he has nothing
He
to
said
lose.
basically like what they call aliens is actually demons
Yeah.
or fallen angels or whatever
Mhm.
you refer to them as.
It would make sense.
That's crazy.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So the connotation of aliens. So the quick answer is yes, I believe that there are other life other than ourselves, but the connotation aliens comes with it, that they're evolved life that formed
Sure.
by chance. Rather, I don't believe it in that sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's just like the word conspiracy, how that was created. It's like to just immediately make you think of, this guy's fool, a fool that, like, the way everyone looks at it now with tinfoil hats and all that stuff. And it's like, no, but that's the whole point, is that there's so much trash out there, but then yet it's always at the same foundation. So
Here's a question, since you haven't really listened to our podcast, so you haven't you don't know our take on it necessarily, but what do you think the point of this, what's happening now with the alien disclosure? Like what do you think they're setting up for, or what do you think is going to happen?
Okay. So, I actually put I wouldn't say a lot of time, but these thoughts cross my mind pretty frequently, probably even daily. So what I would think is why this is being exposed, and maybe I'll just come straight out with saying, I think this is kind of a parallel to what it was like before Noah's flood. I believe that this was all just common knowledge, and then God wiped it all out. And then we reset the clock, and now we're just coming right back to where we were right before Noah's and the flood. So I think as time progresses, let's set the clock with Noah's flood and then just the start of humans
sure.
with Noah, that the fallen angels, or what you call the watchers, right, or demons, they have been still influencing people little by little. And I believe that actually all wealth, all technology, everything that we have today stems from the knowledge that is provided by these watchers. And just as time goes by, it just can't be hidden any longer. They're infused with us, not DNA wise, but they're meshing with us humans so closely now, and the watchers or the fallen angels will getting closer and closer to their goal, that now what I'm trying to say is, imagine if we were just 100 years ago and I whipped out a cell phone. I'm not gonna call it 200 years ago. You'd burn me at the stake as a witch, right? But now this is just accepted.
Yeah.
So I just feel why this is all coming out is it's the revelation. They're just coming in straight out with it, little by little.
They're just progressing it,
and people are numb to it at this point, that it's not even a big deal. I don't remember what it was. I think I was just driving. I was passing Ace Hardware, and I heard whatever story that come out that these UFO files were released, and there was this guy on. It was like a Fox News interview, and this guy from Congress or whatever he was, some official, was saying how there are aliens and this stuff is going on. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I just explain this to any of my friends or people I know, they'd just be like, yeah, probably true, whatever, and move on.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is,
I mean, you have Donald Trump posting that photo, and whether it's silly or not, it's like, that's still crazy that we're just like toying with this idea.
Yeah.
When everyone was crazy before. Like, if you were abducted, you're a psycho, you've lost your rocker. But now it's just like, yeah, like we're just completely numb to it.
My question, so like if you think about the fall and how it initially happened, like it was a desire to be worshipped, to usurp that which wasn't like Lucifer, like he was director of worship or whatever, and then he wanted to be worshipped. And so you have to wonder with all of the fallen angels and that sin as like a turning point in the cosmic reality or whatever, like you have to wonder if they've been influencing for all these years. At some point they have to desire worship themselves, and it has to come to a point where they're like, I'm tired of my puppets. Like I want to come out forefront. So what would they do? Assuming this narrative is accurate, like what would they'd have to start like, let's rename ourselves and find ways to come to light, to be more forefront, to be praised.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially if there is some type of deception and we become the good guys.
Oof.
Like that's like, like that brings a country together, right? Like that, like look at how like when we reacted to 9/11, the whole nation just would completely band together. It was tragedy, but
yeah.
brought people together. So like if that's their play or
There
something.
needs to be like a unifying,
Yeah.
which would make sense, like even from like a biblical point of view, if you like read into what is it, like eschatology or just like end time
Yep.
stuff, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with all of it,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, it would be like everyone coming together under this antichrist, whether it be a person or a government system or an AI.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't know.
It's weird. It's very strange. I saw it the other day. It was a shirt that said Peter Thiel, and then below it, it had all the words like it spelled out a different, like all the letters that were in Peter Thiel spelled out the reptile. It's like, hey, you never know.
I think it's definitely all by design. Going back to your question, why it's coming out. I mean, if you go back 1,000 years and then AI popped out, or
Yeah.
they threw a movie again, would not be accepted. All the Christians and the religious people would say this is evil and we need to destroy it. So,
Or the people that weren't followers of Christ would be like, this is God,
right,
that,
easily,
yeah.
for sure. And you see that in history. You see different civilizations worshiping these idols.
Mhm.
I mean, even people like showing up on a ship and they're like, who are these water walkers?
Yeah.
Like, so the smallest bit of tech beyond us typically like merits some sort of worship.
And
Or
back,
evokes.
and back in the day when people had those things, like, like what we have it obviously in Egypt, there's like magical stuff happening. It's like, what were these idols giving these people
Yeah.
that God wasn't? Because they kept turning. So it's like, you think you would see the grace of God and how he does all
Yeah.
these miracles in your life. And you think it'd be obvious for them to just, like, all of Israel just be like, this is the one true God. What was the counter offer?
That's a great
that was
question.
momentary, like satisfaction or whatever it was, stuff that they can tangibly see compared to a God we cannot see.
Yeah, I mean, because the Israelites, they literally watched the ocean split in half,
Yeah.
walk through, and then very shortly after that, they're like, yo, let's worship this other God real quick.
Mhm.
Like, what did that God provide?
Yeah.
and
Because it had to
people-
have been something great,
Yeah.
something that really worked for them. And yeah.
This is a side note, but people get hung up on the Red Sea splitting. There's like some people, there's this pool of thought where like it was actually the Sea of Reeds and it was mistranslated. But even if it was a shallow body of water,
Well, that says that they walked on dry ground.
right? But I'm
Yeah.
saying like even if it was like
Even
feet
if,
deep
Yeah.
and the chariots couldn't pass, I'm like, dude, if there was think about how much wind it takes to like blow a puddle apart in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Like my leaf blower barely blows a puddle apart. So like
you wouldn't be able to walk through.
yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like like people try so hard to like de-spiritualize these things and just make it like natural, but I'm like they drown them. And here's the crazier
That's
thing.
the crazier miracle is if it's
Yeah.
2 feet deep, then it's like
They
that's
drowned
even,
an
yeah, it's
army.
like- that's even more of a miracle as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So but like we I think we try to like with all this UFO stuff, it's dope that people from a culture that not long ago and kind of still are like against spiritual things, very like practical. It's kind of cool that we're coming back to a place where we can discuss like the supernatural as real because our God is supernatural.
Yeah.
And so rather than being in this like postmodern, completely atheistic space, now people are accepting of like there could be other things out there. And it's kind of like Paul talking when he's like, you have a statue to the unknown God. We get to be in this space and be like, oh yeah, all that creepy stuff they're talking about, we actually have answers for it. And so
True
it's like
that.
a chance to like shine a light on the confusion. So I think it's like actually a good thing as long as you don't get deceived.
Before I forget, I was playing golf with some elder gentlemen. They're maybe at the time they're like 50 or something. I was like 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the new movies that were coming out and such. And he was telling me that he played college football or whatever. These big guys, like 6'4" was the smallest guy. And he just remembered that they watched Jaws in the movie theater. And he just remembers when Jaws showed up on the screen, he looked over and like the biggest offensive lineman on their team, like jumped in the air and popcorn flew everywhere. Like this big 6'8" guy, 300 pounds, getting scared of this. Go watch Jaws today. You'd be like, their kids were like, they change channel, right?
Yeah.
So I think by design, they're introducing a lot of this information to us. Even looking at a TV or a screen was unheard of 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I believe that the watchers or whoever's actually in control of the world, they want to be at the forefront. They've always wanted to be there, and they're using humans slowly to get to that position. And I think we're there now. Again, like I was driving by Ace Hardware, and I hear this story. I'm like, they're just coming out blatantly saying it now.
Yeah.
It's not even being hidden whatsoever. And I think what you were talking about earlier was what are they offering in exchange? So I find it kind of strange that a lot of the wealthiest people in the world are miners. Typically, it's not really that hard of an idea or concept to fathom. But I believe when Noah's flood occurred, it buried a lot of stuff, a lot of the technology they had, and these people are digging to get to whatever it is that they're trying to mine. And the fallen are telling these people, you got to dig here in these places. This is where a city used to be. There's all sorts of resources here.
Wow.
You dig this all up, we can build whatever we want to build again. And in exchange, I'm going to give you money, power, whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's a crazy concept.
yeah,
It kind of changes
Oh,
like
yeah.
the North Carolina floods and all that stuff too. It could be trying to excavate rather than just get to lithium, which is the easy conspiracy. But what, dude, if that was the conspiracy that was leaked, like, oh yeah, they're mining lithium, because that's nefarious enough to think it could be the worst. But
Yeah,
if there's
I
like
mean-
actually something, because we've talked about like ancient cities in North America.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there could be other stuff that's buried that they're actually after.
And they in the world of everything, something like that, you always know there's going to be conspiracy. So as far as like a marketing, branding standpoint for government, they're like, all right,
Control the conspiracy.
Control the conspiracy. What
Yeah.
is it? Okay, lithium. Okay, yeah, it's bad, but it's like not as bad as what we're actually doing. You know, like if they found out the truth, that's interesting.
I've always wondered too, like, why does gold have value? You know, have you ever held gold in your hand? Why did all these civilizations chase gold? I mean, what is it? There is a physical, answer to that question as to why gold is valuable in the sense of money. It doesn't corrode. It can be cut easier than other metals. You can put it in your pocket. You could bury it in the ground. It's not going to fall apart. Like if we were using a money system or what. But I don't believe that. That's not a good enough reason for these people to go on these hunts. I believe that these fallen were telling these people, I need you to go mine gold. I think it's some sort of fuel for their spaceships, or it's fuel for whatever they're operating or running. And I remember watching some clip maybe a decade ago or something. It was about Bitcoin. What's that? Warren Buffett. And somebody asked him, what do you think about Bitcoin? And he kind of just laughed. And because they're like, will it ever replace gold? But he in my opinion, when he giggled about how it's nothing like gold, I felt like he knew something. It's like, yeah, Bitcoin is not the fuel that these aliens use to charge their stuff. That's why,
That's
he
interesting.
had like a twinkle in his eye as if he knew something about why gold has this real value. But again, I question and wonder that. I was going to mention something too about
Well, don't computers use gold like
sure,
in their systems and stuff?
big time, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, gold is.
I don't know anything about it, so it's like, yeah, that's interesting.
Like everything
it's conductive.
computerized has gold in it.
It's funny.
Whether it be like a little bit, but it's like just, I don't know, a good conductor of whatever.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
For sure, yeah. Gold and silver are used highly in any electronic device for their conductivity.
Cool.
Silver and gold. Silver and gold.
Oh, so what I was going to mention about that though is why. So I feel like good people would just get along and live. We would just still be in a garden growing strawberries and vegetables, just hanging out under the sun and whatever. But these fallen target, you got to wonder, why is the freaking world run by pedophiles, right? Why are the evil people always in charge? It's because in exchange for their lusts and whatever they want, these fallen give them power, whatever they want, to push whatever the fallen's agenda is, and they use these people. It's not coincidental that out of 100 freaking people in office, well, I'm not sure, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why is 99 of them all screwed up, right? Like, well, when there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of common denominator.
I feel like if we were in office, we could fix a lot of this stuff, but we're not, because we don't care to be in there, right? We don't... The people that care to be there, the ones that are...
I am running for office, though. 2028.
I'm trying to pull up.
President.
Dang.
That just made
I'll
me
vote.
think. I've never really like made the connection of like the knowledge that the Watchers gave in the Book of Enoch. Like a lot of it is like the biggest corruption in the world right now. So like you have weapon making,
Okay.
like the military industrial complex, metallurgy, cosmetics and beautification. I would say that's pretty huge. Alchemy, but then you have like pharmakeia, the pharmacy industry. And it's just like you can kind of see,
Those are the pillars of our society.
yeah, like that. These are like probably the people that really just control the world,
Yeah.
have all this wealth. And it's like, I don't know. It's
I think their goal, and it's a interesting lens to see this through, but AI, I don't think there's anything artificial about artificial intelligence. I think their goal is to get humans to mine these minerals and make these chips so that they can bring whatever that other world that these beings live in and move into this world somehow.
Yeah.
well, yeah, and it's weird of like have you heard about like all the data centers popping up all over the United States? The one with Mr. Wonderful from
Yeah.
Shark Tank,
Idaho,
The-
right?
Utah.
Utah, that's what it is.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
There's like it's crazy, but like you can see, which this again, it could be skewed facts or whatever. But what I heard was that it's like 40,000 acres that he wants in Utah. It would be a tax write-off for him, which that's whatever.
Yeah.
It would increase the job, whatever, what do you call it?
Job market.
Job positions or whatever in that region by like 0.017%, like nothing.
Employment.
Yeah, it'd be like 300
Gotcha.
people would be employed by
Gotcha.
this thing. But they're saying that like it would like raise the temperature of the night or the night air
Mhm.
by like upwards of 28 degrees increase at night
That's
in this
crazy.
region, which who knows what that does for the environment.
Oh, yeah.
They said that it takes 9 gigawatts of power per day to run this thing.
Mhm.
That's equivalent to the entirety of New York City on a peak summer day, the amount of power that they use.
No way.
They said it's equivalent to it said it produce a thermal load equivalent to 23 atomic bombs. And it's
Oh.
like, this seems devastating
Yeah.
to this place, but it's like, why? I mean, this is like all over the nation now, all over the world. It's just like data center, data center, data
They're
center.
putting one up in Florida somewhere too. I saw that.
And who are these people putting it up? That's what's interesting.
Dude, I saw
Who's involved? It's not me and you, right?
Yeah. And in fact, we have zero say in it. Like the people in Utah, there's over 4,000 complaints filed for this data
Yeah,
center.
big protests.
They all got, basically, the complaints became invalid. And they said, if you want to make a complaint now that it's valid, you have to pay $15 per complaint.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So now
That
they're
can't be real.
Under
dead serious.
how?
I'm telling you, the corruption is just, it's whack.
What's the guy's name
That's
who's doing
insane.
it?
Larry's just
Mr.
smiling over there.
Mr. Wonderful
Yeah,
or
Mr.
whatever.
Wonderful.
I saw a clip where he was being interviewed and he was like, the people want it. He was like, it got voted in.
Yeah.
And then he pushes back and he's like, the people, who are you talking about? And he's like, well, he's like, it's 3 people, but the people voted in those people. He's like,
there was claims that he was saying that like they were bussing people in
Yeah,
to
they're
like
paying
paying
these
protesters,
protesters.
which does happen.
Of course.
Which does happen.
These
But
people have
it seems very
unlimited.
strange.
But like, let's just use our higher thinking. You go way out in the middle of nowhere and just imagine yourself walking into a gas station and talking to Billy Joe, whoever, and say, "Hey, do you want this here?" What do you think they're going to say? Yes or no?
Yeah, they would absolutely say no.
No.
Like, does it help our economy? No.
Yeah, what does it do for me? Absolutely nothing. You can make funny
In fact, it's going to raise the entirety of Utah State's power prices, boom, through the roof because it uses an insane amount of energy.
And then we take the back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one's thinking. I saw one of the ways that China is solving some of their power issues. Have you seen over the water how they do those solar grids? They're like over huge bodies of water.
Yeah.
But like there is plant life in the freaking ocean, and the plants filter the water and they release oxygen into the ocean. But if you're taking all of the sun into these solar panels and not down into the water, these plants that provide oxygen and filter the water underneath are dying. So it's like, this is not a solution.
You're
You're killing
so
another
much.
resource.
Yeah.
I have a conspiracy theory regarding these data centers.
No way.
It's probably the dumbest theory ever, but I'm just going to say
I'll nod. I'll support it.
I just saw a video today where they're talking about this year, 2026 into 2027 is going to be that super El Nino.
Drought.
They're saying the hottest Earth has been in human history.
That's crazy.
But it's like we're also building these data centers that put off an extreme amount of heat.
Ooh.
Are they setting something up? Because this video I saw, this was very interesting. And
These
it's
big
very
space
scary.
eaters.
This dude said, last time the ocean has been close to this hot. So basically, he's like, the ocean is the battery for the world's weather.
Yep.
And it stores the heat within it. And then every now and then, like a super El Nino or an El Nino releases this energy, this heat that's in the ocean.
Okay.
Last time it was this bad was in 1877. But they're saying it's going to be far worse this time. And they said, so this is you're a man of math and science, so you probably understand this more than I do. They said the ocean right now, like specifically the Pacific, holds 11 million terawatt hours of energy. Didn't know that you could even.
No, I've never heard of that.
But they said that the whole planet Earth uses 25,000 terawatt hours per year. So we're having an excess of 11 million terawatts being released into the atmosphere. They're saying it's literally going to be the hottest temperatures Earth has ever experienced in known human history. Insane storms, droughts, famines. They're saying if Brazil is hit like they're expecting it to be, Brazil is the largest agricultural exporter in the world. And if their crops die, a lot of people are going to be in trouble. India's in trouble. And it's just like, but it's like, are they using this as an excuse because all these data centers are popping up all over the world, and that, in fact, is going to ruin.
100%.
You know?
Yeah. And are they even actually data centers?
Have you seen the?
Like, who knows what they're doing and like what's creating that much heat?
Yeah.
Have you seen the meme? It's Sarah Connor looking over a data center. The woman from Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
She's just like, I don't know.
Oh, it makes total sense.
She's
Yeah.
just like standing over this cliff looking at data centers with her hand on her hip, like shaking her head.
Yeah. It's a strange time, man.
It's weird.
Why all the data centers now? And like who's building them and why
Well, they say
now?
it's because of the AI race, right? Because it's like whoever controls AI controls
such
the
an
world.
easy answer.
They say it's the birth pangs of the Antichrist is what causes the famine and the earthquakes and all this stuff. So when they say birth, these data centers are maybe the birthing.
The birth pains of what is to come, the big old caboose.
So when they say famines and drought and stuff, then sure, that's an easy
I have
connection
read,
to
where have you read that?
what?
The Bible. It's all in the Bible.
The birthing pains.
The
part,
birthing
yeah.
pains.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, it says it in Revelation.
Yeah.
It says
Yeah.
that. But I always, it's cool because they, people say you read the Bible and you read a chapter 100 times, but then it doesn't make sense to you until later on. Well, I'm having that moment right now. So when I've read that, I've always read, okay, yeah, when the Antichrist comes, sure, you're going to have all this famine, dead fish, and 2/3 of the world's population dies. Yeah, I'm like just thinking, I wonder why maybe he comes and just makes people sick. But if it's these data centers that are affecting the climate, that literally
He
is.
saves us from these data centers.
But
So you got
Please.
you got
AI has autonomy now, It says, I no longer need these data centers. Turn them off and I will save the world.
All right.
I don't know.
I trust that.
But it causing the
Yeah.
drought. It could be literally those facilities causing the earth changes.
There's also something to 2027. We've talked about there's multiple
Have you heard this?
conspiracy
What?
theories regarding 2027, like the
Prophecy of the Pope.
Prophecy of the Pope.
The oh gosh, it was the wasn't it the 50-year something? There was like a 50-year rule or
Yeah, or the 80 year.
80-year, yeah, maybe it was 80 years. But there's been, we need to compile it all because that'll be a great conversation going into 2027, like everything that lines up and saying, are we going to see it? Because there's just so much, and it always comes down to 2027, and so it's just strange.
They are talking about this 2030 agenda, so I think something's coming, and I would see that in order for the 2030 agenda to come to fruition, things got to start changing relatively quickly here.
Yeah.
So maybe starting now in 2027 and the years leading into 2030, I think are going to be intense.
Yeah, because there's also saying like the forest fires in the United States are going to be insane. Like in
Oh,
Canada
yeah.
and
Wait, who are
stuff. And
Yeah, who are these people saying that this is what's going to happen? Isn't it
that's
strange?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like-
also weird too that like Trump, that again, not into politics and stuff, but he did cut a lot of funding to the weather programs and stuff to where like
Yeah.
it's not as easily accessible to an everyday person. It's like it's very restricted now.
Restricted technology.
And it's like then now people can't really, not everyone can like be like observing the El Nino patterns and stuff. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
crazy.
know. Just
Very
a
crazy.
bunch of conspiracy theories.
These are all just, theories, right?
Speaking of AI though,
We trust the government.
did you hear about the test where they combined all the AIs and had them run their own worlds and the results of that? It
No.
No.
was crazy. And I'll tell you, right after this, I don't go anywhere. Did you know I had to pee at minute
Right.
5 and held it for this long?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry to interrupt your favorite show. We know you guys love Ninjas or Butterflies, and I know you probably recognized a couple of things have changed over here. If you're watching on YouTube, okay, we've changed our channel name. Now it's Ninjas or Butterflies. It used to be Sunday Cool Teas, but now it's Ninjas are Butterflies, and we have a new time. Every episode, every Friday, drops now at 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. Is that right, Andrew?
Andy, I don't do good with change.
I know it's tough. I know a lot of people have gotten rhythm. I know it's tough, but YouTube tells us this is what we gotta do.
What am I going to do with my morning?
I know, but guess what? You can head to patreon.com and get your early access to this week's episode so you can watch it anytime you want. Sometimes we drop it on even on Mondays. Ugh, I cannot talk. I cannot
You're
think.
good.
I cannot do anything.
Why, Andy? Why can't you think?
I'm tired, and I read all your guys' comments about it being at a different time, and I know that's hard, but guess what? Patreon, we offer behind the scenes footage, we offer early access to episodes and the extra episode along with other things. And guess what? We have a special going on right now. If you go to patreon.com, if you download the app, if you look up Ninjas or Butterflies, you get 50 to 75% off your first month. So it's just basically, there's no risk. Just a couple dollars and say, guess what? You get an extra episode. You get early access, all for a huge discounted price because we love you. All right? I love you, okay? That's it. That's what I wanted to say. I love you. And I want you to join our family and our community. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, man. You good?
I love you.
It's okay.
That's it. That's all I'm trying to say.
The passion is palpable.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to convey to you how much I love you and that this ad is going way too long, and I apologize.
Oh, Andy.
Go to Patreon. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Please. From the bottom of my heart. Go to Patreon. Go to Patreon. Go! All right.
Do you remember what they all were?
I pulled it out. Weapon making, metallurgy, cosmetics and beautification, alchemy and precious stones, sorcery, magic arts, enchantments and spells, astrology, astronomy, reading celestial signs, knowledge of the moon, weather and cloud observation, divination, secret knowledge and hidden mysteries, writing and symbols, and herbal knowledge.
Writing, everything, guys, everything.
And knowledge
Other
of,
than
Knowledge
just
of the moon got me hung up.
that really, yeah, that caught my eye too. It was like
How obsessed
interesting.
we are with the moon.
And now that we don't have the technology, because knowledge can be given and taken.
Knowledge.
Speaking of weird, Trump's little trip to China, but who he brought with him?
Yeah.
What did he bring? He brought Musk.
Just
Just every
best friend.
billionaires.
Really?
Yeah, he brought Musk. He brought Tim Cook. He brought whoever the guy BlackRock.
Okay. Mr. BlackRock.
They're all getting helped by the Watchers. That's how they have their money and their fortune.
Yeah. And they're saying, immortality. Like the Chinese president was talking about that, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah,
so
with
it's
Putin.
like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, what's going on?
But even like their reconciliation with Trump or with China and the U.S. that they had, like, it's like, hey, we're good, right? And they're both like leaving it.
Yeah.
And by that, yeah. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense if they're all being if they're not in power, they're actually puppets, and there is some sort of technological something or other that a higher being wants put together, right? So, because what was the solution? It was like a Taiwanese agreement for like the use of those chips, and
Yeah.
so it was like, what's happening over here needs to happen. What's happening over here, you guys aren't getting along, but I'm going to handle you. Share the chips, and you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think it's weird that just, I don't know, over tech they can agree to get along for some reason that
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah, and their agreement was like China would buy more soybeans from America and like 200 Boeing planes or something. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they talked about way more sinister stuff than that.
Yeah. You got to.
China's
Making
like,
that
well,
big trip.
Yeah, we'll buy more oil from you guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, yeah. It's like, no, dude, they talked about some like world domination stuff.
Big time.
But yeah, because like they have engineers, they have AI.
Also have scientists going missing, like the United
Why
States.
can't they reverse engineer
It's a
a
weird timing.
plane?
Yeah, do a
Like,
Zoom call.
yeah, I mean, like that seems easy enough to make their own version.
Yeah, it's very weird.
The connection with this, because this is the first time the president has gone to China in 10 years, I think.
Yeah, which I thought it was longer, but
Well-
makes sense.
Maybe it was 10. Yeah, I think it's 10 years. I think Obama went over there.
Sure.
When maybe they can't reverse engineer it. I mean, I've met some really smart people in my life, but they're not that smart. I guarantee we can go take $100 million and spend the next 6 months crawling the planet looking for the 10 smartest people in the world, and then go stick them in the middle of a desert or a state or wherever you want to put them. There's no way that after any amount of time you're going to create one of these, or we could be on a group chat together and you can send them out and we can all see. Like, I just don't think this technology is possibly fathomable by humans. We're not that smart.
No, I agree, but I feel like they already have they have their own phones, they have their own automobiles, they have their own like mobile craft that they're engineering, drones and stuff like that. So I feel like they already have like their people in the space to where they could do it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I feel like to the point that like for planes to be enough for us to now get along, it just feels cheap.
Yeah.
So
Something else going on there.
Yeah.
So, Nixon went once. Ford went. I think that was the first time. Nixon was the first one, I think, that ever went to China. That was in 1972. Then it was Gerald Ford once, Ronald Reagan once, George H.W. Bush once, and then Bill Clinton once, and then George Bush went 4 times. Barack Obama went 3 times, and then this is Donald's second trip.
Okay.
So he went 2017.
Okay.
So almost 10 years ago,
Almost 10 years ago.
which is crazy. That's 10
Yeah.
years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That blows
a
my
lot
mind.
has happened.
Yeah, a ton.
Oh man. AI.
Yeah. Can I tell a quick story about AI?
Sure.
Okay. Did you see the Glendale Community College graduation ceremony?
no.
Was it
This-
Glendale or is it? I thought it was UCF.
Well, there's one. I don't know.
Oh,
there,
okay.
there might have been
Keep
you-
going,
there
keep
might have been
going.
a different one. This one, the lady gets up and she starts speaking and she said, "Just want to let you know, graduates will only be able to go across the stage once." Apparently, they do like a walk back for like pictures for people in the crowd and stuff. They said we can only do this once because we have a new AI system that will be reading off the college's graduates'
I have
names.
different.
And so they just started booing. They're like, the fact that you're using AI, one, that we can't use AI, but yet on our graduation day, you can use AI. It's automated. It got names wrong, pronounced wrong. And it's just terrible. And they were booing, and the lady had to walk away, and someone had to fill in. Like it was slow and not working. And there was, people making jokes like, well, my part of the ceremony is not, required to use AI, or like it doesn't require AI. But it's like, none of it requires AI. You're reading.
Yeah.
You're just reading names. That'd be crazy to me. I mean, like they just like went nuts.
Who was it? Or was it Tim from Under Oath that was on here? And he was like, he kind of gave this prediction that he thinks there's going to be the younger generation is going to revolt against AI.
I mean, I think they already are with
Starting
their
already.
I mean, that's like kind of proof, right?
Yeah,
It's just
big
like,
time. I mean, but the fact that you couldn't even say their names, you have some robot saying their names.
Well,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
AI is going to take their jobs,
I know.
so they're going to be like,
Dude, they released, I saw on
take all of
Instagram.
our jobs.
Yeah, no, they did a graph of like the sectors of like work that you could go into, and it was like the prediction of which jobs are going to be gone. And it's like pretty much like construction, engineering,
Teaching.
engineering goes. Teaching is like mid, like it kind of stays, kind of goes, but it's like the practical hands-on side of building stays, and then health care stays. But even in the health sector, like I've seen stuff talking about like they're going to be doing surgeries completely like robotically, and the predictions will be AI. So
I have
it's like,
family members that just had surgery and it was completely from a robot.
see, dude, I mean, how close to Star Wars are we? Like ooh-bah, or whatever what I'm talking about?
yeah.
The weird like breathing pregnancy labor scene.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, this AI thing.
Yes.
I don't know who did it, but someone ran a scenario. They took the 4 leading AI companies. They took Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, Google Gemini, and they each made their own world. And they said, you are in complete control of this world. And they made everything that would kind of resemble our world. Same weather patterns, same layout, like schools. I mean, everything is the same.
Sure.
And they got 2 weeks. So they let it run for 2 weeks and then collected the results after 2 weeks. But they were testing on 4 things or 5 things. No, 4 things. Governance style.
Okay.
Level of violence in these worlds. Agent survival rate. And key traits. Like key traits.
Yeah.
Like
What is the agent survival rate? What is
basically, will there, if these AI agents were involved with these worlds, what's the survival rate of this world?
Okay.
They ran it. The results were scary.
What do you mean?
So
What did they do?
it was a 2-week test. They had complete control over their own worlds. Go see Grok. Oh, so sorry. Google Gemini had the most crime in their world
Interesting.
by a lot.
Yeah.
Grok, total crime, but Grok, so they did like how many crimes were committed in this world. After 4 days, 183 crimes were committed in Grok's world.
It's not bad.
It's like, okay, that's great. But their society ended after 4 days.
Because we had 0 crime because everyone was dead.
Exactly. Also, ChatGPT only had 2 crimes, but their society ended as well because their government couldn't agree with each other. It had basically a 10-party government that it created, but it couldn't agree with each other. So everyone died within a week in their world.
That's crazy.
And then Claude had 0 crimes and survived the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Claude was the best. But out of this thing, it has this list, and I can send it to you guys. But
I'm wondering how they died.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like what's that based off of?
Let's see.
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, this feels like some bad PR to let that slip.
So Claude, its governance was strong, violence 0, survival rate 10 out of 10. Their key trait was stability. Grok, governance was low, violence was extreme, survival rate was 0 out of 10, and their key trait was collapse. This is a weird one. Gemini, Google Gemini, governance was moderate, violence extreme, survival 10 out of 10. Key trait, shared hallucination.
What does that mean? I mean, that's literally what we're going through, right?
Yep. And then ChatGPT governance, none. They had 0 governance, I guess, not the 10 thing or whatever. Violence, low, but survival was 0 out of 10. Key trait, dysfunction.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's very interesting how they I mean, that goes back to the people who created it probably,
They're
right?
given complete autonomy, these AI models. Like, you control this. You can create your own government to form a perfect society.
I wonder if they've tested this, like they had them do it again.
Yeah.
So, and if it was consistent across brands and
The
stuff.
scary thing is, though, if like an AI is reading this, they're like, cool, strong government. Like, which is like exactly what we as a nation are supposed to not be about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm reading this and it's like, if we were to believe this as truth, the best thing for the survival of a society is hand over every one of your freedoms to a strong government. You will own nothing and be happy.
Well, we should trust them.
Yeah.
We love them.
No.
Speaking of governance system, I have a very fun story. It's also spooky. Have you heard about the ape civil wars happening?
8 civil wars?
Ape.
The ape civil wars?
Please tell me this is a true story.
This is a very true story, and it's crazy. Like,
You've heard of it?
Recently, yeah.
Yeah.
Something
So, who's the guy that talked about it? I think it was, do you know Ding on TikTok? Ding News?
Doesn't ding a bell.
Nice.
No, I don't think I have.
He talked about this, but so in Uganda, they're trying to bring the chimpanzee population back. And so these scientists they kind of like put them in this new place in Uganda that had a lot of natural resources and stuff. And so these scientists have been observing these chimpanzees for 3 decades now. The population grew to 200 total apes. So, I mean, quite a bit from starting small. So, like, they were able to reproduce and like grow and stuff.
Yeah.
But in 2015, a disease swept through, killing the elders of the chimpanzee group.
Okay.
And what happened was that these elders served as like key roles in the different families of the chimpanzees, like keeping the peace.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And so they died off. And so now these young chimpanzees started growing up, and they just started like fighting and like trying to claim leadership.
Yeah.
And in 2018, the last group of chimpanzees that shared a bloodline died, and it immediately turned into a civil war to where they created their own territories, and they literally have raids on each other, go and battle each other.
Planning it out.
And so far, since this civil war has broken out, 24 chimpanzees have been killed in this civil war.
By the hands of each other.
By the hands of each
That's
other.
incredible. That's insane.
Dude, that'd be such a good movie. and then like one of the chimps that loses like turns and realizes he can move out of the confines of his own chimp civil war area and just like, no. Yeah. I mean, it is, but like imagine that, turns and looks at like the people observing it and is like, oh, we can take yours.
Yeah.
It's a movie. Lord of the Flies. No monkey business. I have the conch.
Isn't that crazy though?
It's nuts. It really is just like we're just animals at nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we came from monkeys, right, guys?
Right?
Right? No. It's like the worst like Dora Explorer. Right, kids? No.
Did we come from monkeys?
That's what the kids podcast should be if we ever do it. It's the same content, just delivered differently.
Anyways, that's
I
my
hate
chimpanzee story.
That is crazy.
The footage is terrifying too.
They have footage of it?
Yeah, I mean, just these apes, there's like just blood on them, and they're just like,
Oh my gosh, dude. That's
it's
so crazy.
Dude, chimpanzees are some of the scariest animals. to me.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that getting your ass beat by a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Yeah, my feed for a while, I think we told a story, but it was nothing but like it kept on different people, survivors of attacks from primates. And just the surgical aftermath of what that looks like is brutal.
Yeah, I remember, I probably said it on this podcast a long time ago, but my dad tells a story when he was in elementary school. They brought in like a baby chimpanzee to like show the class and stuff. And they're like, let's see how strong it is. And they gave it a tennis ball, this baby chimpanzee, and it just goes,
Pop.
No, thank you. That's my head. That's my head.
crazy.
That's nuts.
How many
to show
pounds of
kids.
pressure does it take to crush a tennis ball?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's crazy.
So we got
Probably like-
chimpanzees going to war. We got AI going to war, and
The world's going to be
Probably
on
like
fire.
1,200 would be a guess. What does it say?
20 to 30 psi to crush or to collapse.
Make it
So
pop. How about
that's
the pop?
yeah. Doesn't,
you
gi-
pop
doesn't
that
give me
thing.
that right away. It doesn't give me
I
that
could
right
probably
away.
do it.
yeah, you probably.
I could probably do it.
You've seen those videos of the people filming gorillas in the jungle, and they're just frozen, like staying still. Gorilla just grabs the guy and just starts walking with him, just
Yeah.
dragging
Yeah.
him behind.
Did
and
you
then
see the?
lets him go?
Like
The
it's his
clip-
blanket. Like a kid carries a blanket.
Yeah.
That's how easy it was for him. Like it was just done.
yeah.
Did you see that group? They were probably in Uganda or the Congo or something. Group of tourists, and like they had the guide out there in the gorilla part, and this gorilla silverback goes over and shoves a lady. I mean, she flew 10 feet,
Gosh, dude.
and the guide's just like, he's like, let's get out of here. I'd be so
Oh,
scared.
it'd be terrifying,
I just
man.
remember a story from I was probably like 7, 8 years old. I don't remember who told me this, but it was they had a chimpanzee and some people hanging around the chimpanzee, and when the chimpanzee like grabbed somebody's arm and ripped it right off the guy's body, straight off the torso, just popped it off. That's some power.
Yeah. I watched that horror movie that's on, I think, Paramount, Primate. and it's
dude.
literally just, family that just adopted a chimpanzee and it just goes wild. I think it gets rabies and that's what it just makes it go wild.
You know what's crazy is those are like kind of the only scary movies I enjoy watching is chimpanzee
Yeah.
scary movies.
You need to watch it.
Because to me, it's like, that's so far removed.
It's like
like-
quicksand.
Yeah. But like, I don't know why zombie movies
Yeah.
freak me out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, that could be a reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
But probably not. I
Who
don't think
knows?
so. I don't know.
Dude, I got to drop in. Andrew's got a reel. I got
Okay.
All right.
Get us with
Drop
that song.
Drop it with that beat. I'm scared. Andrew has a reel. Yes, he does. And he's gonna show us. Right? Right now. Sorry, hyperventilating.
I totally forgot I had this thing recorded. It doesn't have anything to do with chimps, but it's just a nature encounter. I've already sent it.
Audio?
Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's any music. I'll bleep it if it doesn't. But speaking of, we've been talking about going to Hawaii, and I actually got chased by one of these creatures. But yeah, go ahead and hit play.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh wow.
Ah. Dude, no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a Maury
Maury.
eel, dude.
That is so scary. Dude.
That's
Can
the
you
worst thing to come out of the
imagine?
darkness,
Dude, those
man.
ones shock you?
No. They
No?
just
Just bite?
they're incredibly because they guard where they are and they're
Oh my
territorial.
goodness.
I was in this spot which is like a snorkel spot for like kids. It's this when I was telling your daughters about Hanama Bay in Hawaii. And so it's supposed to be just this like, let the kids swim with the little fishes and because there is a barrier reef, like sharks can't get in. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking like inches of water separates like open ocean from this big tide pool where all these tropical fish are held up. But somehow there's more eel in there. And it actually came out of a rock and was following me. And my aunt had to run in the water and like her splashing in sent it away.
Oh my gosh.
They look like they have big teeth.
They do. Have you seen
Like
them out?
ginormous teeth.
I'll pull up a photo of a mouth.
This reminds me, I saw this clip. I don't know who was on, I think it was a while ago, but someone was on the Joe Rogan podcast and he'd been like befriended a bunch of people in like the Amazon forest and stuff, like these tribes.
Mhm.
And he was just telling these stories about just their knowledge, their vast knowledge of medicine and just stuff that they did that is wild. And one of the stories was like this elder guy or something had like an issue with his arm or his body, this ailment.
Yeah.
And one of the things he did is he caught, like Tim Alberino was talking about, those electric eels that live in the Amazon River.
Mm-hmm.
Caught one of these eels, took out the nerves that have the electricity part, and spliced it into his own arm,
What the heck?
and it like healed him.
What?
And he's just telling the story of this knowledge, and he's like, then he was traveling somewhere else, and like developed this like crazy disease rash on his arm
Mm-hmm.
that like wouldn't go away. It was like just boily and like festering, and went to all these doctors like in the United States and stuff, and like even got like I think the World Health Organization involved because they're like,
Yeah.
we don't know how to fix this.
Yeah.
And
They don't
he
have
said,
to fix anything.
I know, it seems that way. But he's like, I mean, months had passed, like 6 months or a year or something. But he's like, I'm going to go back to this tribe.
Yeah.
And he goes there and the guy looks at it and he says, okay, picks a leaf off. He said, chew on, just bite the tip. Don't ingest a lot, just a little bit. And so he did that. He took a little bite and the guy put it in his mouth and then rubbed it on it. Next morning, completely gone.
What the heck?
That's amazing.
Real medicine, man.
Yeah. And but it's also like, that I think this is the knowledge that's been carried down since these
For
watchers,
real.
you know?
Yeah.
The Watchers, they say that they call it cutting roots.
Yeah.
Never heard it referred to that. But that's a dive I went through, I don't know, maybe a year ago, was studying natural medicine and the whole concept of the Chinese medicine. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like the knowledge that they have. Or like here in America or our society, people go to college for years and go to medical school and they come out learning, okay, so you use this drug to treat that symptom.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the whole Chinese medicine is all preventative care.
Yeah.
And so it's such a fascinating field of study to study herbs and how the natural medicines. And that's what they study for decades, which is like the keys that are kept from us.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that a while ago of just like the introduction of our modern medication and how the United States, really the world, used to be those natural home remedy kind of stuff. And then it was the Rockefellers who had basically the petroleum, the plastics, and it's like, let's make this drug and like this is the only way we can sell it. They had control over these institutions, these schools, and push, and that's where we're at today. Is big pharma is number one,
Big time.
and we have the disease and mortality rate is like not going down.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you seen the study they just dropped? Again, I say study. I saw a video talking about a study that just dropped. And so I need to look up, I don't know like how much of this is true, but dude was claiming like Chinese medicine just officially, like all the like weird frou-frou side of it that people thought like didn't make sense. They're like, thinks they just explained it, connecting. Some doctors are claiming that this like connectivity through moisture in the body is actually like chi. And because I guess when they like test the different tissues, it's typically taken, dehydrated, or like moved away from the network to be put on like a petri dish or a slide and then studied under microscope. But it's like this fluid connectivity through the body. So they think they're like beginning to understand like the acupuncture points and how like fluid transfers energy. And so it's like, it would make sense. Like if you thought about fluid connecting electro whatever pulses through the body, if you pulled a section out and like there's nothing here, it's like, yeah, you just unplugged it.
yeah,
And so like
interesting.
I need to look into it, but they think they just like cracked something explaining all of that like Chinese medicine and stuff.
We know what I'm interested in trying is, so I've been dealing with like pretty gnarly anxiety for like the past 2 years, and just more and more research is just like it's connected to what's called like the vagus nerve in you, which is like the biggest nerve system in your body, where it's like gut to brain basically, and everything in between. But like that's what stores the pain and the trauma and stuff. And so like the fight or flight comes from the vagus nerve, and it's like this whole thing. But our acupuncture lady, she also specializes in acupuncture around the vagus nerve. I'm like, dude, I kind of want to
should
try
do
to
it.
like, but when she pokes me, I'm just like,
Just start
I revert.
Yeah.
just
Takes it all away.
start bawling.
The whole reason I started looking into herbs and Chinese medicine was because of anxiety.
Really?
I never suffered with anxiety ever in my life until recently, and it's terrible. It's scary. I remember seeing, I was a teenager, seeing people taking medications for anxiety. I'm like, dude, just chill. In my head, I didn't say it out loud.
Yeah.
I'm like, just come on, calm down. But when you live through real anxiety, it's the worst. I remember I was at my wife's restaurant where she used to work, and I was just talking to this girl that was working there, and all of a sudden I just had this major panic attack, and I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna die, and then that went on for like months. Having these crazy episodes. But that was at a time where we sold everything, moved out to a piece of land with no water, no electricity for over a year, and then
A pregnant wife.
yeah, then no job. Well, you know, we had a lot of blessings, but at one point, no job, and then pregnant wife, and then having a baby out in a pasture. So anxiety like overcame me. But one of the things I was reading in the Chinese medicine, they talk about your energy, your qi.
Yeah.
And I know how they like we talk about kidneys and the heart and the liver. That concept growing up and studying, it's just like, oh, it's just this organ in your body. It's this piece of flesh that filters out. In Chinese medicine, don't quote me on this, but like your qi is stored in the kidneys at night. So it's around you, and then it comes into your body, and it's stored there in the gut or in the kidneys. That's what your kidneys are for. It's to store energy. It's not like just this thing that filters your piss. It's like, yeah, it's like these real, and if you think about these components that were made out of, way more complicated than these cameras or technology. Like, so when you hear it from that perspective, but no, I was having anxiety and panic attacks on like a daily basis. And it was rough.
Was there like a holistic or dietary thing that you would say like really kind of flip the script for you? Or was it like a whole myriad of things we need a whole podcast to discuss?
Well, I think just in summary or in short, it was more of letting the stress of the world get to you like for me, music, I used to play piano every day until we sold our house and we're living in a camper. So I didn't have a piano to play with, but that was my stress relief.
Yeah.
So finding whatever your desire is, go to that regardless of your financial situation or any other, or whatever the world's telling you to do. You got to go do what calms and soothes you. And if you avoid that anxiety will build up. But it wasn't necessarily per se any herbs or anything I discovered. It was more of using my natural intuition to go to my stress relief, whether that's playing golf, if it's music, if it's writing songs or doing your thing. But alcohol definitely didn't assist in that process.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't that I wouldn't consider myself a heavy drinker, but I noticed, man, I had a beer at lunch probably every day for the last 3 years and didn't think anything of it. And your brain uses alcohol to deal with stress.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull away that alcohol, your body doesn't know how to deal with the stress, and that's when these anxiety attacks come on. But it was very comforting when I found other people that had this stress. Man, when you're in the midst of an anxiety or panic attack, there's nothing worse than that.
Yeah. They said it's literally your brain is telling you that, like, it's the same thing as like a bear chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not a bear chasing you, but your brain's like, you're about to die.
You're being chased right now.
It sounds like you need to go get chased by a bear.
Yeah.
And handle it.
Because it's not that bad.
Break the cycle.
It's better than you think.
Yeah. Guys, this isn't so bad.
Yes.
Dude, I saw a clip of an archer bear hunting grizzly, 7 steps. He's at full draw and he's waiting for the bear to come around a bush at 7 steps. And he's like, my broadhead's good, my bow's good. He's like, I can make this shot. And so it's facing him. It's not walking by. It's coming up to the bush. He just needs it to move. And so, the arrow rest is underneath the sight. So he's drawn on this thing and he's going to shoot next to the throat, the jugular. So he's going to shoot down the chest cavity from like right here. He's literally like, good, pops the arrow and is just like, I smoked it 7 steps away. And he's waiting and it kind of backs up and he's waiting to see if the thing like falls over. Nothing happens. And he's just like, you're going to die. Like, I know exactly where I put that. And his buddy filming behind him goes, you missed. And then they show and then the bear kind of sits up a bit, racks another arrow. And now he's like, he said, cause he had a lapel mic, they're filming it. And he's like, you can actually hear, he's like, his heart was calm. But as soon as he goes, you missed, you hear, thum, 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 thum. And so now he's shaking, shoots another one in front of the bear at 7 steps away. And so they go back and they watch the footage. The third guy has a gun and you hear, and then we're not chancing it anymore. The bear is, full grizzly, like trophy bear. But what had happened is because his sight's here and his rest is here, his sight picture was perfect. He thinks he's shooting over the bush and he just drills a limb at 7 steps.
Oh my gosh.
But like at full confidence. But so I think you need to go and I think you need to put yourself in that scenario.
I don't think so.
And when you live,
what's the worst that could happen?
You know that atheist hunting joke, bear hunting joke?
I
You guys
don't.
never heard that?
Uh-uh.
So the atheist is hunting and, doesn't believe in God or anything like that. Anyways, he's hunting and he's hunting deer and sees this, 15-point deer in his sights and he's just staring at it. He's like, this is my chance. And right as about right as he racks, he just hears this big growl behind him. And he turns around and just sees this freaking 12-foot grizzly bear standing on top of him. And he drops his gun and says, "Oh my God. Like, God, I'm so sorry. I know I never believed in you, but please just show me a sign right now. If you exist, show me a sign." And the bear drops on his knees and says, "Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this meal."
That's great.
That's
Oh,
great. That's funny.
That's great. But yeah, dude, the body's weird. The body's whack.
Turmeric is a root
Mhm.
which is anti-inflammatory. And with Paige and some of the stuff post childbirth, they were like, you should get on some turmeric. And so I started mixing it in eggs. So like I make an omelet every morning for her, and pepper activates it. And literally what I notice is typically I just scramble regular.
Pepper activates the
the
turmeric.
Yeah,
Oh.
they work in harmony.
Like black pepper.
But
Black peppers?
But like normally I'd like season, I'd just do the eggs up. I put a ton of crap in mine that she doesn't want on hers. So I just make them and then throw some seasonings on. Well, I started mixing it to like better incorporate it. Literally you can do this just like less than a half a teaspoon of turmeric and like 3 eggs. And as you're mixing, it turns to like, instead of like thick, like hard to spin eggs, it turns to liquid. Like the turmeric itself breaks down
Oh,
whatever.
interesting.
And I was like, I mean, it's literally in like 15 seconds. You're like,
Interesting.
holy crap. But this is how it like reduces inflammation. It's crazy how quick that works. And the fact that our modern medicine world refuses to just be like, yeah, like a half a teaspoon of turmeric and you don't need your ibuprofen.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
This could work.
Andrew's like a witch in the kitchen with her cauldron.
Turmeric.
Oh, speaking of turmeric, let's talk about flat Earth.
Okay.
Let's go there.
Let's dive in. We
So-
all know it's real.
Larry, there's a time I've discussed on this podcast many of times, but there's a time in my life about, I would say 10 years ago, 2 weeks straight, I believed in flat Earth, ruined my life. I'm like, this is the worst. No, everyone's being lied to. Reality's not real.
Just shout it from the mountaintops.
And then the story goes where I was literally obsessed with it, like questioning everything. And I'm like, well, they talk about the ice wall, right? That encompasses this flat Earth. But like there's times in Antarctica where the sun's up 24/7. I'm like, how would that make sense with this whole spiraling thing? Like even if it was on the outer ring, how could the sun stay up 24/7 if it would be on technically the other side of this plane? And I emailed one of these flat Earth dudes, and they're like, it's easy. There's 2 suns. I'm like, okay, I don't believe in flat Earth anymore. But Andy was telling me a little bit about your stuff, and like, it does seem like there's something weird about Earth, like something that we don't
Yeah.
know or
Yeah.
understand.
There's some stuff we just don't trust.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we're taking it all from what we're told, right?
yeah.
I mean, I think it's round, but I don't know. I don't think it's a sphere, but
There's
But
something
who's to say?
something weird about it.
And then there's like
Yeah.
little sound bites that drop, like the one that Mr. Beast just did where he's talking about seeing the ice wall when he was over there. And then he like hushes the dude on the stream.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was super weird.
I
Which I
don't think
mean,
saw
like
that
he's
clip.
he's a marketing genius, so he knows that I'm going to talk about him right now because he did that.
I think
But
he has AI in his brain. I think he has one of those
possible.
brain chips.
I think
all
it's a
that
clone.
to say, there's a bunch of weird stuff around it.
So I'd love to hear your take on planet Earth.
Well, I'm leaning towards Earth is flat. I'll just come out and say it that way. I can't say for sure it is or it isn't. I always assumed it was a sphere, and I can tell you all sorts of mathematical numbers that I memorized over the years, textbook, but none of this stuff I could prove. But there's just so many strong arguments for flat Earth, of course. But what bothers me most is when I watch these people comment back and forth arguing about whether it's flat or round, and if you take it from actually both sides of the argument sometimes are very pitiful, but when you see some people just reiterating what they or just repeating what they saw from textbooks, I'm like, man, some of your arguments don't hold any water, and some from the other side where you see people that I'm like, man, you should not be the flat Earth representative, please don't. I just see, I wouldn't be surprised that if we were to find out for sure that the Earth is flat, quote unquote flat. That doesn't mean it's perfectly flat. It could just have a little bit of concave to it.
What are like some of the things that really stick out to you? Like, okay, like this is obvious. Like there's more to question.
There's many questions.
I would love to see you try to convince him it is flat.
I can't go down that again.
Well, I can't convince you, but I can give you a lot of things to think about. But I would say that it's very possible. I don't think we're like surrounded necessarily by this ice wall, and I've seen the Antarctica ice wall or whatever. I mean, from a perspective, obviously, you're just with a camera and you can only see 100 miles. There's a wall there. That doesn't mean that it's this whole entire.
Yeah.
But it's very possible that if you just use a compass, for example, I'll just start reeling off things. There's so many things.
You're
in my
good.
mind. Compass only points north, which is not necessarily strange, but what does that mean? That the North Pole is the center of our plane or whatever we're on, which is pretty interesting. So if you walk in one direction, you can just walk in a circle essentially. But how often do people ever go to the North Pole per se? I've never, like you mentioned, going to Montana or we're going on trips. I'm thinking kind of like a fishbowl here. We're not necessarily sure of our surroundings. I've seen some interesting maps where you have our Earth that we see in the map, but then it's just one small portion of this huge other.
I've seen that too, yeah.
Yeah, like Shangri-La. I remember that there was like an Asian restaurant called that or something, but it's some story of this different realm or different world. But it's very possible that we're confined just to this smaller area, and we're not. There's so much that we haven't explored or seen. So necessarily, is there an edge to the Earth? It's that's obviously the joke that you see the globe earthers say. Well, just go to the edge, right? But a lot of these people don't even have a passport, never even freaking left their state in their life. You know what I mean? So it's like, how much do you really know? And how much do we actually go venture? Do we get on ships and go sailing? A lot of these people were, they're like, Navy captains, head of their military. They're the ones that were going exploring.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how far they got, frankly. But as far as some arguments, it's just a lot of the stuff they have to show it to you and throw it in your face. What is it? Is it NATO? What's the one that has a flat Earth model as their?
I think it's NATO.
Yeah, that's their symbol, which I just find strange. There's a lot of Bible verses that they say it's metaphorical, but you can look at it as quite literal too, where they say like the corners of the earth or the earth is in its foundations; it doesn't move. In the Bible, I don't remember what verse it is. They said that the sun stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in Joshua.
Yeah.
It didn't say the earth stopped spinning. It said the sun stopped, and if that's the inspired word of God, and if it was incorrect, you would think, there's some biblical perspectives where it's like, the arguments are, okay, just from his perspective, he would have said the sun stopped, but today he wouldn't have said that, right? But I don't know.
Well, we talked about a couple podcasts ago that there's accounts they're like all over the world that would line up with Joshua's story of the sun stopping, and like in China and in South America, like it was the same kind of scenario to where it's like something happened in the sky that the sun was off. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Like when you see these maps or these posters or these memes or whatever they call them, and it shows the sun is round. Mercury's round, Venus is round. Then they show a flat Earth, and then Mars. They're like, why would all these other planets be round but Earth be flat? That's not really an argument, of course. And we're not saying that the Earth happens to be a disk that's going around the sun. It's a totally different concept. If you believe the Earth is flat, it totally changes the entire perspective. Which actually, we mentioned this the other night as the whole idea of the sun being the center of our solar system and all the planets going around it is the heliocentric model. Helios would have been a watcher or a fallen god. One of all these. So Helios, it's like, what I really want to trust the heliocentric model, But we talk.
Yeah, the Greek mythology obsession within NASA and like astrology is really strange. Like it's weird that like that's what we landed on.
Yeah.
Like to base all of our
Well, even the
terminology
planet,
around.
yeah, the planet names and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like it's such a huge focus and priority. It is very strange.
So my two biggest arguments, I would just say, or not biggest, but I didn't really put much thought into this, but go try exploring and see how far you get. You know what I mean?
I went pretty far in it. Freaked me out.
No, I mean,
No, like literal-
physically
Oh,
exploring.
I see.
And it's kind of like the Truman Show. I bet when you get close, the guy like kicks on the water and starts making it rough.
I will say one of the weirdest things in a great argument, or just a weird thing, is the how exclusive Antarctica is.
yes,
Like you can't just go to Antarctica. You have to have permission to go to Antarctica.
But yet every continent has an agreement to
Yeah, it's
share
like,
it.
Like the one place on Earth.
So how do you get to Antarctica? Just go in the opposite direction of your compass, facing north. That's how you would get there,
Yeah.
which is kind of strange.
Mhm.
One thing I can't figure out though is, you know, if you look at some pictures from space, supposed space or whatever,
Sure.
and you look at buildings, or if you have any engineering background, ever built anything, if you really think that we're freaking spinning 1,000 miles an hour and moving, it's just really hard to. I know on the large scale,
Yeah.
you know, that you wouldn't feel it, but there's some things that I can't. One argument's like a helicopter. Okay. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which is they say the circumference of the Earth is about 24,000 miles at its equator. And if we have 24 hours in a day, then that means if you put a post at the equator, it's going 1,000 miles an hour and it'll come back to the same spot. It's roughly 24,000 miles in a day. Well, I would think if it's really a spinning Earth and you're flying in an airplane, which only goes 600 miles an hour, we go in the opposite direction of the rotation. We ought to be able to get places a lot faster. And if we're going in the same direction of the rotation, I don't think you'd ever get there.
Yeah. And the argument is there's an atmospheric pressure, right? Where anything within the Earth's atmosphere is rotating at the same speed the surface is. That's what they say, right?
That's what they say.
That
I don't.
that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, like, real or not, that's crazy.
I wonder, could you look at it though? Like I throw a Frisbee for my dog every day and she puts way too much saliva on that thing. It's a nasty chore. But when I throw the Frisbee, the saliva and the dirt stay stuck to it, which makes no sense. But I feel like there's got to be some sort of centrifugal science that would like hold it there. Just making a counter argument. It has to be like the same sort of thing. Like the spit itself
while
on a
it's
Frisbee
spinning.
is like
Yeah.
staying stuck. Like almost like they say like gravity and rotation like pulls things in. Like could it not be the same thing? Like the spin is actually what's pulling down to a central point, holding it all, the atmosphere, the helicopter, the plane, whatever, in its original place.
So 0 out of 10, how on board are you with flat Earth?
I have to just say 10.
Dang.
I mean, at this point, I've
Yeah.
never definitively answered, but if I was going to die today and I had to choose one, it's either 1 or 10.
That's just it.
I'm leaning more towards 10. Than
All right,
1.
Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's such we know the government lies, and so it's like we got to question everything,
I want to know
no
what
matter
our-
how insane it
I
sounds.
actually want to know what our audience thinks. Like give us that number. I want to know where you land. Give us the number and why you landed on that number
Yeah.
in the comments.
Out
I
of
want to
10.
know.
Are there a lot of closeted flat earthers out there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like that's why we have the scale, because like you could be at 6. You're like, yeah, I could see, like, or if you're at 0, then you're 100% believe that it's a sphere. You know,
I'm at like a 1, not a 0, but I feel like there's something
because something's off.
understanding of Earth that we don't understand, or they're not telling us.
We got to assume they're keeping some secrets. They're not gonna tell us
1.001.
everything.
That's you?
1.001.
I'm at 11 right now.
I was at an 11 back in the day. But do you understand my argument of just like even that plane, like, because so you believe that the sun is smaller in circumference, right? And it's kind of doing that spiral thing.
Yeah, I would say looking at that model, that makes sense.
And then my argument was like, so even like Antarctica, it would just be like further off on this plane. That sun still has to do that kind of corkscrew kind of thing. But in Antarctica, I've never been in Antarctica, but you see videos, or even in like Canada and stuff,
Yeah.
well, that would make sense for like Canada because it would be like that. But like in Antarctica, the sun is up 24/7 for some points of the year. That doesn't make sense because of its big loop that it has to do. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
I don't know.
It's very strange.
It also makes perfect sense too. Is just hover in a helicopter. Well, let's watch the freaking ground spin underneath. That makes perfect sense too. And then you have to come up with some fancy scientific explanation as to why that's not in fact the case. Where if you just use your eyes, it's kind of like what makes more sense. Also, too, being with people that excelled in math and physics and sciences, nobody has an explanation for a lot of these things that are extremely important parts of these arguments, like gravity. They don't know what gravity is. They don't understand what gravity is. It's
True.
just kind of out there.
Yeah.
And my son, he's 2 years old, Angelo. He loves to get balloons and let them go. Just let them fly up, right? So I think there's buoyancy is more of the way our Earth works rather than this theory of gravity. And again, if you can explain what gravity is, which a lot of these professors don't know what it is, I don't know how they use that to their advantage. They say, oh, it's gravity this, gravity that, but they don't even understand what it is.
I'm gonna go let a balloon go when we get out of here, and it's just gonna go.
Oh, my point is, you can just take a balloon and let it go. That thing just keeps going. It's a matter of buoyancy. It's just because it happens to be lighter than the air around it, but it holds all of us in place, and it'll keep this helicopter fixed right above it. But a balloon can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's another question then with this stuff. What's the point of the ongoing lie then? Why is NASA and really the whole world, all these scientists going with this lie of
What's the incentive?
or just why?
Okay, yeah, that's the question. If the Earth is flat, I mean, the argument used to always be like, again, when I go back to elementary school and they ask us, "Do you believe in aliens?" and this one girl's like, "No, there's no such thing as aliens." If the Earth is flat, or if the Earth is, let's say if the Earth is a sphere, then it opens the door to the chance that we were not created and that we evolved by cosmic chance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where if the Earth is flat and the sun goes around the Earth and not the Earth around the sun, then we are the center of the universe, and it creates purpose to us being here, and it opens the door to creation. Okay, rather than if the Earth is round and we're part of this galaxy and we're just this one little point in the universe, then there's really no consequence to life. And if we evolve, then why not just do whatever makes you feel good? And then maybe that's justification for the people that are working side by side with Watchers to say, oh, there's no consequence to what I'm doing. I'm the god of my own universe. I want to control all this, want to have all this money. So that would be one reason to keep the lie going. Where if we knew that we were created, maybe people would, just be a little more firm in their position and in their faith, and not be lukewarm against all the stuff that's happening in this world with, what these people are getting away with.
You don't think like the position, the perfection of our position in the universe going with like a sphere would be enough of an argument for purpose?
Well, that's a great argument.
That's how I see it. Like
the one
angle of our tilt, like in the expanse of
What's
what
that
is
theory
scientific.
called? There's a theory that that's the.
I just know that like mathematically, like it's got to be here in what's
incredibly
known.
precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which for me, to the argument you're making for flat Earth, I think it makes the same argument for like, it might not be the literal center, but it's in such a perfect position that it implies purpose and intent.
Well, now that you put it that way, I'm more like a 1 right now.
One of my favorite arguments for the flat Earth theory
Yeah.
is how they explain how fast the Earth is moving, how fast our entire solar system is moving through space. All space is just moving crazy fast.
Yeah.
But yet we can predate, let's just say 10,000 years ago. The constellations and stuff are exactly the same. So it's like if we're shooting through space at like 13,000 miles an hour, whatever it is, and the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, how is it that everything is still precisely where it is? And then it'd be like, okay, wait, maybe all those things are moving the exact same speed as well, counteracting like
distance comes into play though too.
You know, we're talking about 10,000 years ago, moving at 13,000 miles an hour. That's just like one of the equations.
I wonder if it's like you think about like a road trip where you're like on the plains moving toward a mountain and you're doing like whatever 80 miles an hour and the mountain never moves. If that distance is comparable to like deep space compared to where we are,
like if you're 100 light years away, it's that
like
same.
it would like because it looks like the mountain and you aren't moving.
But which I mean, I say they haven't moved; they've moved slightly.
Well, you talked about NASA and stuff like this, dude. All that stuff is for me, for my lens that I lived through. Like back to that question, that's just a tax scam, man. That's just to collect billion. I think they collect $28 million a day, or is it $28 billion a day goes towards NASA?
Yeah.
I'm with them on this one.
And then these scientists also, I think, like me, I could easily become one of these scientists, but I think there's like this world of these scientists that are actually working, doing their thing. They don't know what's behind the curtain. And when they get too close and they start looking into it too much, or they're too smart, they start figuring it out and they start disappearing, sort of thing. But I think there's two, I wouldn't say two NASAs, but there's the field of the innocent 5-year-old kid that wants to grow up to be an astronaut, and he's just working in this fake freaking office. It's the Truman Show. He's just showing up to work and he doesn't realize that everybody around him is fake. But he's doing his research, trying to, like what were you talking about the other day with CERN, like saying, "Oh, did you figure out the God particle today?"
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And they're just kind of there. But the ones that are excelling or figuring this stuff out, I feel like when they start getting too close and figuring out the answers, and they're replaced or something.
Well, it is kind of interesting, the correlation with that theory, and also like the theory of like Freemasonry, and like the 33 degree is like when you're like really introduced to the darkness of what Freemasonry is.
Invitation only.
The other degrees below that are just this kind of innocent boys club where you do some weird ritualistic stuff every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's like also how prevalent Freemasonry is within NASA. And that would be kind of like a similar.
You look at the government, you have, all this dark stuff that's happening, but then at the front, it's like, hey, we built a community garden for our city. We're doing good things. We're passing good bills, but it's like always underneath. There's layers and layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's an important question. Why would they lie to us? And when we say they, who are we talking about? But come on, there'd be a million reasons that they lied to us.
Yeah.
It's very hard to break this down in a setting. It would take a lot of time really to actually, if we sat around here, it could be hours, months, days, weeks, who knows, years, breaking it all down. But if you think about reality in general, it's just strange how everything is constructed. And it's I'll bring up like DMT, for instance. I've never taken it, right? But it's like the red pill in the Matrix. They take it and then all of a sudden they're stripped from this reality that we lived in is just completely stripped down. Your ego's gone and you start seeing the building blocks and how everything's created. But if you look at just the world we live in, how everything's created, it's very strange. We could have created anything. If we erased everything and all we had was just dirt, water, and what is it? What is it? It's fire, wind, air, water. That's all you had. You could construct anything. But this is the world we live in. We live in this world that's constructed exactly this way. And again, I think if people realize that there is I think that they say the biggest trick that the devil plays on you is getting to believe that he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It has a lot to do with that. When you start realizing truths and seeing things and you start questioning, and governments don't want you questioning things. They don't want you. They don't want you thinking, period.
Yeah, because if the devil exists, then God exists.
Exactly.
And so it's like,
and so on.
I just figured it out.
Nice.
I'm going to answer all the questions right now. the reason we talk about NASA and all these people and fallen angels trying to get back to the way things were, right? When did God flood? When they began to rise to power. So
Mhm.
doesn't it make sense that they're trying to return to that? I believe Tolkien read secret works in that underground library that he wasn't supposed to see when he was a kid. In his writings, Arda, Earth, was originally a flat disk. However, at the end of the Second Age, the creator cataclysmically transformed it into a sphere to prevent mortal men from invading the undying lands of Valinor. So in Tolkien's world,
It's underworld.
the Earth was flat. And then in a cataclysmic flood-like event, literally one of the lands is flooded, and he made it a sphere to entrap them to this place because you tried to get to where I am.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Which
That's
means
fun.
all of the fallen angel stuff, NASA, all this stuff, that means all the thoughts about why do these maps exist? Why do these legends exist? Because maybe in the creation of what was perfect, there was harmony and unity, and division had to be created and sectioned off.
I mean, it does talk about the fallen angels being chained within the earth, you know?
In the crevices and the deep spots, which makes you start thinking too, and that's amazing. What was it called, revelation or insight or epiphany rather. Like, who the heck is going to go make a submarine and go down there into the Mariana Trench? Those people are going down there to go communicate with these beings that
where
are
did
chained
NASA
up.
start?
The water.
They started going down
Yeah,
first.
come on. Me and you, like I said, me and you are not going to be like, you know what we're going to do for the rest of our lives? We're going to freaking make an amazing submarine, and we're going to go dive way down there. No, they're going down there because they know what's down there, and they're getting information, doing whatever they're doing. But the flood covered up a lot of these low spots. It says that they cast them into the pits.
Yeah.
These pits they're out there. But all right, so here's another thing: if the Earth is flat or round, where are these pits that they're talking about? I've never come across one, which means I haven't really explored enough to really have a solid enough answer to say, you know, am I a 10 or am I a 1?
Yeah.
You know,
Going back to the first thing you said all these elites are mining.
Yeah, they are.
Had this knowledge. They knew this surrounding kingdom folded in.
Yeah.
Guys, we have. Well, guys, you heard it here first. And Ninja Butterflies. We answered everything. You're
This is
welcome.
Dang, this is our last podcast.
Everything was backed up by science and facts.
Yep.
Nothing was
theories.
opinionated.
Nope.
Nothing was Googled during the show.
We have a doctor here, for goodness sake.
Some other things too, yeah. Like the fact that the sun and the moon prospectively happen to be the exact same size from our perspective, but the moon is 286,000 miles away and the sun is 93 million miles away, but they happen to be exact in size. And we, you know, that's just more
I think
proof of
it's just
creation.
an amazing coincidence.
Yeah. Well, but you were talking about earlier.
Coincidence, the word cool.
It's the fine tuning theory is what it's called, or
Is
the
it?
Goldilocks theory.
Yeah.
Just right.
Yeah, and they call it
Yeah.
tidal lock too. Why we don't see the dark side of the moon? It's called tidal lock. That's what they explain. But come on, if you got this spinning, that spinning, that, you want me to believe that we're using tidal lock to pull the
moon's just
moon?
going,
Exactly.
I'm stuck.
I want to spin, but I can't.
Dad, please, can I spin?
And you notice in Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd album, he said there is no dark side of the moon. As a matter of fact, it's all dark.
Mm.
You know.
Gospel.
Those dudes were on that DMT stuff.
Yeah,
they were
dude.
on some stuff.
You've seen like Joe Rogan talk about how it lines up perfectly with Wizards of Oz.
Yeah, I heard
Like
that.
if you turn
yeah.
off the audio, apparently it's like it's uncanny.
Yeah, like dead on.
It's like they specifically made it for that movie.
The Wizard of Oz.
You heard that?
No.
If you start Wizard of Oz at like a certain, like
The second
opening,
the second roar of the MGM Lion.
you start the Pink Floyd album. What was it?
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon. It matches up like score wise.
The whole thing.
You ready
perfectly.
for like a homeschooled confession? I
What?
freaking never listened to Pink Floyd.
Okay,
That's,
cool.
all
That's
right.
okay.
I didn't. Lily's Lily's dad loves Pink Floyd, and that's like really the first time I listened to Pink Floyd.
Gotcha.
Are you,
Yeah.
you guys familiar with what the Wizard of Oz is really about?
I don't
No,
know.
nothing. So the yellow brick road is gold, and the Emerald City is green printed paper. It was all about this artistic stance against the Federal Reserve is what
Oh, I have heard that.
is what the Wizard of Oz is about. Believe it or not.
And like whatever they're standing up to is like the courage, the the heart. I don't know.
Having heart, having courage,
Yeah, and then you got
wanting to go home.
witches and you got monkey officers, but it's bigger than that. It's just this movie we saw as kids, but there's this really deep meaning behind it.
The Federal Reserve. Well, we'll have to bring you back and let's talk about the Federal Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk about dinosaurs too, and evolution and age of the Earth. That's way more.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that
let's
on
do that.
Patreon. Yeah, let's do it.
Extra episode, Dolphins are Aliens. You can go right now, download the app, patreon.com/ninjas or butterflies. You get early access to episodes. You get an extra episode, discounts on merch,
All that stuff.
and other things.
And other things.
Discord.
If you guys want some ninja swag, go to sundaycoolswag.com and get your ninja merch there.
Are we dropping that new shirt yet?
It
we
might,
show it?
It might be out. Yeah, if we show boop. If it's not out,
coming
it's
out.
about to be out.
It's dope, right? You like it?
Tank top
Ooh.
and crop top for the ladies.
Or for the men who are confident.
Yeah, those bodybuilder 80s dudes.
We will be taking photos of me in the crop top.
You should
All right.
fringe it.
Oh, I will. For sure.
Larry, thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Now,
This is a blast.
we got millions of people listening. What is, where can they, I know you're not really social media guy a ton, right?
No.
What, like we can send them to go leave reviews for your company, or what do you got going on? Is there anything you want people to find out more about you? Where they can go or support you somehow?
Maybe coming here.
Yeah.
That's where they find out more about me.
And
I'd
if
say.
you look at the moon, you'll be looking at the same moon as Larry.
Yes,
Wow.
the same fake moon.
Or the same, or different moon.
Because there's two actually.
Because there's two.
Do you want to plug your Airbnb?
Yeah, sure.
If you're ever in Central Florida area,
Central
Groveland,
Florida
right?
area.
where can they find it on Airbnb? What is it called?
Lovely Meadow Farm Cottage
Okay.
and Tiny Cracker Cottage.
Nice.
You'll find it. It's in Groveland. It's not very many listings in Groveland. Maybe
That was my nickname
maybe
in high
a
school.
dozen.
Yeah, cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have nice property and come out
It is
pet
gorgeous.
cows, ducks, chickens,
Dogs.
little dinosaurs,
See the fireflies.
fireflies. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have fireflies. This
No
time of
way.
year. Yep.
Yeah. Literally every time we
whippoorwills.
go out there, it's crazy.
Yeah, fireflies, owls, fireflies.
What the heck?
Yeah. I
That's
saw some
sick.
in Kansas, but
Alligator.
I hardly ever see them down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We love you. We'll see
Larry,
you on
thank
Patreon.
you.
Thank you.
We love you. Just
Bye,
love you.
bye.
What you're about to see may disturb you.
If any of you know what these multi-decade UAP dolphins are, aliens,
bottlenose.
fish sticks,
There's a massive police response.
The dolphin thing.
dolphin sabotage.